Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Ooma.
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text STREAK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text STREAK to 321-321. That's STREAK to 321-321.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mets are advancing to the NLCS after defeating the Phillies yesterday in a 4-1 Game 4 victory. They'll face the winner of the Dodgers-Padres Divisional Round Series. That series tied 2-2 with Game 5 tomorrow at 5:08 p.m. Michael Bumpus will be watching. It's Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks are in their throwbacks, taking on the 49ers. A win gives them a 2-game lead on San Francisco in the NFC West and a 1-game lead on Arizona.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. It's Thursday Night Football. Bump and I are live from Lumen Field. We are right now looking out at the field. You got a beautiful throwback logo right in the middle, 50-yard line, because the Seahawks are wearing their throwbacks for a primetime matchup. Now, with a win, they take a 2-game lead over San Francisco in the NFC West and held that 1-game lead over Arizona. That's great news. We definitely want this team to be first in the NFC West. That's the goal. We're going to talk about, though, how they can do that, take a closer look at these two teams, and basically turn today's show into a really fun preview for you. So, let's talk about the stakes right now. Bump, I got to say, I think the stakes are actually, and this isn't like not really in the vein of competition here, but I think the stakes are actually higher for San Francisco.
Yeah, they are, man. They're, 2-3 right now. No one expected them to be where they are today. No Christian McCaffrey, but they have found a way to still be good in the run game. We're talking about that guy, Mason. So, no, this is still a good football team. I'm driving into Lumen, listening to the National Voices talk, and everyone still believes this is a good football team, and I think you have to treat them as if. You still got Brock Purdy. You still got Fred Warner. Kyle Shanahan is still calling the plays, and for some reason, the 49ers have been able to come to Lumen and play well. George Kittle reminded us yesterday that he likes it here. So, yeah, man, fear nobody, respect everybody. Let's go get it.
All right, so let's take a listen to McDonald for some of those injuries. Byron Murphy out, Uchenna out, Reek Woolen out, cut number 1. Here's the latest on Derek Hall and Boye Mafe.
With Derek and Boye and Julian, we'll see through tomorrow. Julian will take it probably all the way up to the game. Those other 2 guys, we're confident they'll be out there.
All right, so again, confident that they'll be out there. Julian's going to be a game-time decision. Those inactives come out 90 minutes before game time starts. I'm going to just, let's, for the purposes of argument, assume that Julian is out there.
Okay.
Okay. So how are you feeling confidence level with this defense, with Julian out there, obviously with Boye and Derek Hall out there, but with no Reek Woolen, no Uchenna for a while, and no Byron Murphy?
I mean, we've kind of become accustomed, unfortunately, for not having Uchenna out there. So it's just business as usual. When you talk about Reek Woolen, we know that they will test Trey Brown. There's a reason why Reek Woolen was a Pro Bowler his rookie year and why he was really having a decent season this year. Felt like he was kind of turning a corner when it comes to his technique and being where he is supposed to be. I think Jay Love is important. George Kittle is the best tight end in the game, in my opinion, right now. And the safeties typically take care of the tight end, your safeties and your nickels. So having Jay Love out there is going to be crucial. And last week, Jay Love talked about just the accountability on the back end and how he takes accountability for the way the back end played last week. If you do not have your leader out there, then things change a little bit. I know Rayshawn Jenkins is a good leader as well, a good football player, but you need your dogs out there. You need them. So him just being out there spiritually and physically is going to be a great thing for this defense. He's going to have to make a couple plays because George Kittle will be featured in this offense, as everyone knows.
Is tonight a must-win game for Seattle? Cut 2. Here's what McDonald had to say.
Every game's a must-win. That's our mentality. Every practice is a must-win practice, and then anytime you can go, tee it up for real, there's always a sense of urgency to do whatever it takes to win the game. I understand their position, but we're in a similar one as well. Again, it's early in the season, but every game is critically important.
I think you could argue they're must-win in very different ways. I'm going to disagree with Mike McDonald, but it's because I'm not a football player or a football coach, right? I don't have to have that same level of competition. I'm going to look at it a little more pragmatically, and I'm going to go, well, I don't know. I didn't see you as a playoff team, and so if you win, it's like a plus for me. It's great. It makes my job easier. It makes it more fun. However, Mike McDonald said there, Bump, it's a must-win for us, too, just in different ways. What way do you think he means? It's
a must-win for them because of the way that they lost last week and the team that they lost to. No one thought they would lose to the Giants. We thought it would be tough, right? If you are a real football mind and you know how this game goes, you know that anyone has a chance to beat anybody. But I guarantee you going into that game, they felt good about the game plan. They felt like they outmatched them on the outside. They felt like they could be okay in the box against their defense, and then you go out and you just don't execute. So it's a must-win, so they kind of shake off the dirt and the nastiness from last week. It's also a must-win because then you improve to 4-2, and the Niners drop to 2-4, and you have a 2-game lead in the division. I know we didn't expect them to be a playoff team this year. Maybe towards the end of the year, depending on what happens, they could be in the mix. But I guarantee you Mike McDonald didn't feel that way. He took this team over and he said, look, I got some guys on this defensive line. I like our edge rushers. I have a quarterback. I have an offense with some weapons on the outside. We could sneak into the playoffs. So in the long run, this is a must-win game for them because it can give them a nice little push in the division and just shake off the nastiness from last week.
There's also just this aspect of pride, too. I mean, you have lost your last 5 straight, including one wild card playoff game against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you had before then, and you look at a period from obviously 2012 to 2021, the 49ers are 3-17. So a stretch of not being so great. However, they have won the last 5 matchups in a row. I feel like I've entered these games, Bump, against Kyle Shanahan with the Seahawks, every single one thinking the Seahawks are the underdog. I don't like that feeling. It's not a fun feeling to have. I kind of I don't want to enter this game just embracing this underdog like, yeah, it'd be great to get a win. I want to look at it going, you can prove something, Mike McDonald.
Yeah, and I think it's big for this organization and this team because it's a new regime, a new era. And you don't want to fall into this, well, the Niners just beat us every single year. You have to deal with it. Get your wins elsewhere. If Mike McDonald and this team are able to come out here, look good, compete, shake off that stank, and get a victory, I think it changes the way that people look at this rivalry, and I think it changes the way that the people look at the Seahawks, because as of now, to a lot of people, the Seahawks are frauds. Oh, you won 3 games in a row, but they were against garbage teams. You faced a real team on Monday Night Football. You lost. Granted, 6 starters out on defense. You played against the New York Giants. You lost there. They beat you up in the box. It's important for identity. We always talk about the identity of this football team, and we can talk identity and focus on the X's and O's, right? That's an identity. But the national identity, the perspective from everyone across the country is a bit different. They're not going to look at X's and O's. They're going to look at wins and losses and how you performed during prime time.
Also, look, it's like we talked about yesterday, so I hate to kind of, be on repeat here, but yesterday we talked about identity and what we wanted that to be, just, like you reintroduced here, and so I was thinking the same thing, which is, well, I kind of wanted to get this defensive genius to be able to combat McVay and Shanahan. Like, that's what I wanted. And finally, you have your first chance. I mean, you had a chance against a really smart mind in Mike McDaniel, but the Dolphins are banged up. We're down to their 4th-string quarterback, and, it wasn't looking so great. But now you have a chance to do exactly what you came here to do. You may not have all the horses in the stable, but you still got the guy that you hired to do the job.
When I was a kid, I used to go visit my dad in Oceanside, California, and there was this bully on the block, and he would just mess everybody up. It was almost like Debo. Like, he would come walking down the street, and everyone's like, oh, dang, here he comes.
You should have brought him on Maury and had Dean West talk to him.
I should have, but you know what? We weren't thinking like that back then. So then one day, he steps to me, and he messes with me, and I close my eyes, I swing for the chin, I connect, and I drop the bully on the block, right? I ran after that. I got the heck up out of there. But that's what the San Francisco 49ers have been in this division. They're the bully on the block. They come to your house. They're eating all your food. You go to the playground. He's messing with everybody.
They're the bad kid.
Here's your chance to close your eyes, swing, clip that chin, and become the hero. So get her done today.
How do you know you even became the hero? You didn't stay around. You immediately ran.
Oh, no. My boys ran with me, and we were just cheering. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. So, clip him on the chin.
So are you telling me the Seahawks, what they should do today is hit the bully, immediately turn and run?
Hit the bully. No, you're at your house, though. You good. You got backup. I wasn't on my turf, my territory. Yeah. It was different. I had to get up out of there.
Yeah, so hit the bully and then say, you need to leave now.
Yeah, it's time
Please
for you
get
to
on
go.
a plane back to Santa Clara.
Time for you to go.
We would like for you to go. Let's get to a little more sound. Let's talk about the 49ers, what they have at stake, and the team that's coming here. Cut number 4, here's John Lynch on KNBR.
There's so many different how you perceive a must-win. Must-win, ultimately means if you lose, you're out of it. So it's not there, but, I mean, you just said it, Marcus. You go 0-3 in your division. That's not good. We've dominated our division here of late, prior to this season. But this is a new season, and we haven't done that. And we have another loss in the NFC. So the stakes are high. There's an easy way to make everything feel better, but there's nothing easy about how we got to go do that. And in a tough environment against a good football team, on a quick turnaround. But those are the cards we've been dealt, and we got to go see what we're made of.
I feel like I'm talking about the 49ers this year like I did the Astros. We know what happened with the Astros, which is they ended up obviously winning the division. Congratulations to them, I guess. But with the 49ers, this is still a very good 49ers team, but they are not having the season they wanted. They have had a tiny bit of regression from last year. They were already having some defensive regression last year, particularly against the run late. So I know we see them as this, giant that they've been. It feels like they've been unbeatable for 5 games here, a couple seasons. But they have some weaknesses and they have some flaws. Bump, what are they?
They're human. They're looking at us and say, no one makes me bleed my own blood. Like, they're not used to this. Like, you hear it in Lynch's voice, right? He goes, man, we've dominated this division, but it's a different year, and we got to get through it. Where they struggled with so far, I'm going to talk to it about it more extensively in 4-down territory, but they've been horrible in the red zone. This is the worst they've been in the red zone in the past 5 or 6 seasons offensively, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. They've kicked some field goals, but, once you get down inside the 20, you won 6 or 7 of them things. They haven't been able to do that. I think the absence of Ayuk early, not absence of him physically, but it's his play early has hurt this team as well. He's getting paid like one of the top receivers in the league. He just got going last week, 147 through the air, and they still took that L over there. And then I would assume Brock Purdy's not pushing the ball down the field the way that he used to. Last year or the past couple of years, people looked at Brock Purdy and just assumed he was dinking and dunking. He was like top 3 when it came to air yards, pushing the ball down the field. Why isn't he doing that at a higher clip this year? I'm not sure. But and then you got to look at the teams that they're playing, and they're just playing better football too. It's not like teams are showing up and just conceding and saying we're going to lose this football game. They're getting the guys' best shots, and I think that plays a big role in it as well, man. And the Cardinals, man, beating them last week, I think really made them human. So that's the almost the scary part about this game is that they're looking to shake off some stank. We're looking to shake off some stank. It sets up for a great Thursday night football game.
I'll tell you what I'm worried about, and we are going to focus on it a lot at 10:30 when we talk about one thing the Seahawks are doing defensively that's putting them at risk a little bit. But I am a little bit worried about what Kyle Shanahan's team have done with the run, and in particular, very, very related note, with play action. It feels like the Seahawks have kind of struggled there. So I'm a little worried that this is still a matchup that favors San Francisco.
Well, you know why we're struggling in play action? Because we're not running the football at a high clip.
Exactly.
So when you fake it, they're like, we don't believe you. We're going to drop back in the coverage and wait for Geno to toss it up.
All right. Well, let's continue to look at a few injuries here. The 49ers are going to be obviously without Christian McCaffrey. They're not going to have safety Talanoa Hufanga. They also just recently signed veteran kicker Matthew Wright because they're going to be without their starter Jake Moody. Now, do I hope that this game is won by Seattle because of a missed field goal to the north end zone? Yes. Yes, I do. That would be a great primetime game in a very close ending. Do I also hope the Seahawks are able to get a more dominant win going here and establish the run and get out ahead? I also wish for that.
I'm not picky. I don't care. We can win on a last-second Hail Mary. It could be a missed field goal. It could be a last-minute drive. It's all about just walking out here with a W against a solid San Francisco 49er team, because they're the type of team they could lose tonight and you still expect them to figure it out sometime down the line and make a push for the playoffs. No style points needed today. I do not care. Geno can throw for 150 and 1 touchdown and your run for 250, or it could be flipped the other way. I do not care. It's all about calling a clean game offensively, not turning the football over, and doing some things you haven't been able to do for a while on the defensive side of the ball, which is cause turnovers. Now, you got that 102-yard return by Jenkins down the goal line last week. I'll take it. I love it. Yep. But I want to see some forced fumbles. I want to see some interceptions. I just want to see some violence. The violence that we saw week 1 against who they play week 1. I'm not tripping. Who'd they play week 1? Broncos, yeah. The violence we saw against the Broncos, the speed, that's what I want to see today. Give me a win. I don't care what she looks like.
I am also going to point, just as a final note here before we get to headline rewrites, we talk about what's at stake. Obviously, San Francisco, they have Super Bowl expectations. Let's be frank, there are some Seahawks fans who entered the season with Super Bowl hopes. Right. Not many people entered with Super Bowl expectations, so the stakes are a little bit different. But as you heard from Mike McDonald, that doesn't mean that Seattle isn't looking at this as a must-win, just in a very different way. The way they're looking at it, we're building a culture. We're establishing a DNA, and we also need to stop the bleeding because we've just lost 2 in a row. Need I remind you guys that after this game, they are going to be facing the Falcons, Atlanta number 10 in overall offense yards per game right now, and then facing the Bills. So it's not going to get easier after this. Think about losing 3 in a row and then heading to the East Coast to take on the Falcons for a 10 a.m. start before hosting the Bills.
I mean, it's that's football. That is sports, right? Atlanta came in. We're thinking, what are they going to look like? Now, you look at this offensive way Kirk Cousins has these guys going. You can't sleep on them. You looked at the New York Football Giants this year and said, they ain't going to do nothing. They come in here and beat you. You look at the San Francisco 49ers and you're saying, okay, they're probably going to win the division. They don't even have the lead right now. So, you know, we do a great job of looking towards the future and trying to see what the road is going to look like. These guys got to stay focused on today. And I'm sure they are, man. In 12s, y'all got to get up here and be loud. Let's get rowdy. Let's make it difficult for Brock Purdy and shut George Kittle up, man. He running his mouth.
You guys are about 7 hours away from game time. Bump and I are live already at the stadium right now. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, Francisco Lindor's go-ahead grand slam helped the Mets eliminate the Phillies and advance the NLCS. Here's what that sounded like.
The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
What's the real headline?
Yeah, that's cool and all, but that $300 million payroll really will come back to bite them in 2030. People aren't thinking. You aren't thinking.
Man, it's nice to see what you paid for actually operate the way you want it to operate. $34 million Lindor is getting. Then you give Pete Alonso's getting $20 million. And when you pay for something, you want it to work. Like that fancy toaster you were telling me about with the digital buttons.
And it works
stuff.
great.
Doesn't it? Right.
I made toast this morning.
You pay for quality, and then that's what the Mets got right there. There was one point of the season people thought it was done for the Mets. They're not going to make the playoffs.
And they were
you wasted all your money. Yeah, and you're going to ship off Pete Alonso, but they stayed together, and your ballers are balling in the biggest moments. What I loved the most about that grand slam, Lindor hit it, didn't pimp it at all, just jogged, and then he got to the dugout and then let it all out. Man, I like both. I like when you hit a bomb and you pimp it out and you're all hype, but I also like the quiet, just swag that Lindor brought to that.
I love a bat flip. I also love the idea of course I did that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting paid $34 million.
If you look, it's kind of like a handshake after a touchdown, like the Marshawn Lynch Classic. Just thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work.
This is why I'm here.
I will say that the reason that we are joking about the payroll, obviously, is that I think that there are some people out there who, if you say, I would love the Mariners to spend more, they say two things. The first is, well, why do you want them to spend what the Mets are spending? Of course they won't. Don't be insane.
Don't be crazy.
We are not expecting the Mariners to spend like the biggest markets or like just the richest owners. That's not what we're expecting. So someone saying, I'd love the team to spend is not telling them to spend like the Dodgers. Don't turn that into an argument that isn't being made. The second thing, though, is that I think people frequently point to teams that have spent and then failed and go, see, spending doesn't work, when overwhelmingly you can find a positive correlation between payroll and postseason, first of all, visits and also success. This isn't me saying the Mets are going to win the World Series. This is me saying this is a team that really went for it, and I personally, and Bump, I know you are too, am happy to see that rewarded.
Yeah, it's nice when you pay for something and it operates beautifully. It's like a nice car or something.
Let me tell you what, Bump, I really do recommend that toaster. It's life-changing. And
How much is it, though?
It was like $40 or $50. That's not even that much for a toaster. But before I got it, I got this little $10 toaster because my other toaster broke. And every time I would push the thing to put the toast down, the toaster would fall forward because it couldn't handle the weight of even me pressing my finger down. So I'm just saying, you get what you pay for. This touchscreen toaster, you guys, I should be a salesperson for them. Like, I have been just talking to strangers about it, like a barista at the coffee shop. I'm like, let me tell you what are you guys using back there for your toast?
You got a suggestion box?
Yeah, exactly.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the no-name Detroit Tigers are a win away from advancing to the ALCS after shutting out the Guardians in Game 3. What's the real headline?
What made the Tigers better than the Mariners? Guys, this isn't meant to be a joke. It's meant to make us sit and reflect about what made at one point one of the worst teams in baseball in the playoffs.
It's like we just did a 180. We went from, okay, these guys are spending hella money you're producing. And now I'm looking at the payroll for the Tigers, and I mean, the highest paid guy on that team is getting $14 million this year.
How'd you do it?
How do you do it? This is the approach that the Mariners want to take, right? This is what they've been doing for a few years now. Now, they paid more for Julio and some other guys this year, but this is who they're trying to be, and it's just not working. So whoever is helping the Tigers assemble their roster, maybe you want to sit down and do a Zoom masterclass with them or something and learn a thing or two of how they're evaluating. But there are other factors that go into this. People don't want to make a big deal about the ballpark. It is a real thing. We've seen so many people leave here and go out and do some things. All the factors, all the X factors that people don't think of makes this whole situation complicated. It's hard to assemble a playoff-worthy or championship-contending roster, but the Tigers have found a way to do it.
Well, and you can kind of isolate certain things. Like at one point, the Diamondbacks were making a really prevalent playoff push. They didn't end up going, but it's because they became at one point one of the hottest teams. So sometimes if you isolate, like, let's look at hits in September, total hits. So I was looking at home runs, but then just moved it to hits. Dodgers, number 1. Diamondbacks, Marlins, Mariners. We know that offense got hot in September. The Tigers are still around 20th, and they were around 25th in total offense. They also don't have an excellent pitching staff. They just kind of found ways to win. And so when you see all the ways that different types of teams have made it to the playoffs, you just stare at the Mariners and go, how? Like, if you were even moderately better offensively, if you were, instead of, 30th or 29th or what have you offensively, what if you were 20th? Like around where the Tigers were in September.
And there are some things that factor into teams getting hot. Sometimes it's just luck, man. I mean, you can't control everything. And it seemed like the Tigers got hot at the right time. You get lucky with your health or whatnot, and things just fall into place for you. So we'll see how this thing ends up, but it's nice to see an underdog making some moves.
Someone said I came in a little late, but I need to know the name of this toaster. I will respond to you.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, Jets interim coach Jeff Ulbrich is stripping offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett of play calling duties and handing those over to quarterback coach Todd Downing. What's the real headline?
How close can you get to firing someone without actually firing them?
This is like you have to demote your friend, but you're not going to fire him because he's still your buddy. Like, and you go to Aaron Rodgers, you lay out the situation, and the numbers don't lie. Something needed to be done with this offense, so it's not like Aaron Rodgers could stand there and make a case for his dude to be the offensive coordinator, but I'm sure Hackett brings some type of value to the situation. When you've been attached to Aaron Rodgers for as long as you've been attached to him, when Aaron has been playing some great football in his recent past, I'm sure Nathaniel brings value to that situation somehow. The value clearly wasn't calling plays though. This offense was struggling. The run game wasn't getting going. Now it's up to Aaron Rodgers now. He's got to step his play up. For the first time last week, he looked like an old man. And I go, oh, man. As soon as you see it, the walk is different. The way he gets hit looks different. He's going to have to step his game up because they're changing things around him to fix the situation. But ultimately, it comes down to him making plays on the field.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. It's Thursday Night Football. We are going to lead you straight into the Seahawks pregame show, also hosted by Michael Bumpus, who has a very long day, which is why we are live from Lumen Field, where the Seahawks are hours away from kickoff against the 49ers for Thursday Night Football. Coming up next, the Seahawks might be making things a little tough on themselves in this one area defensively, so will they change it tonight? That's next.
When you're running the hurry up and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcast on demand.
How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought?
Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
He is your new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Find us on SeattleSports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
All signs continue to point to it being the right hire.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Seahawks.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps vet.